So good afternoon, ma'am. I am John Lid A. Ausa and I'm here to recite for you about the four circumstances of our revised penal code. So we should start in the Article 11, which is the justifying circumstances. So justifying circumstances, the following do not incur any criminal liability. Anyone who acts in defense of his persons or rights, provided that the following circumstances concur: first, unlawful aggression; second, reasonable necessity of the means to employ to prevent or repel it; the third, lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself. So number 2, anyone who acts in defense of the person or rights of his spouse, ascendants, descendants, or illegitimate, natural, or adopted brothers or sisters, or of his relatives by affinity in the same degrees, and those by the consanguinity within the fourth civil degree, provided that the first and second requisites prescribed in the next preceding circumstances are present, and the further requisites in case the provocation was given by the person attack that the one making defense had no part of the therein. So number 3, anyone who acts in defense of the person or rights of stranger, provided that the first and second requisites mentioned in the first circumstances of this article are present, and that the person defending be not induced by revenge, resentment, or other evil motive. Number 4, any person who, in order to avoid an evil or injury, does an act which causes damage to another, provided that the following requisites are present: first, that the evil sought to be avoided actually exists; second, that the injury feared be greater than to avoid it; third, that there be no other practical or less harmful means of preventing it. Number 5, any person who acts in the fulfillment of duty or in the lawful exercises of a right or office. Number 6, any person who acts in the fulfillment of duty to order issued by a superior or some lawful purpose. So should go to the Article 12, or the exempting circumstances, or the exempt of a criminal liability. Number 1, an imbecile or an insane person, unless the latter acted during lucid interval. So number 2, a person under 9 years of age. 3, a person over 9 years of age and under 15, unless he has acted with discernment, in which case Sashinar shall be proceeded against in accordance with the provision of Article 80 of this code. Number 4. Any person who, while performing a lawful act with due care, causes an injury by mere accident without fault or intention of causing it. Number 5. Any person who acts under compulsion or irresistible force. Number 6. Any person who acts under the impulse of an controllable fear or an equal or greater injury. Number 7. Any person who fails to perform an act required by law when prevented by some lawful insufferable cause. We should go to the Article 13, the mitigating circumstances, or a severe only to lessen or reduce the enforceable penalty. Number 1. Those in the preceding chapter when all the requisites necessary to justify or to exempt from criminal liability in the respective cases are not attendant. Number 2. That the offender is under 18 years old or over 70 years old. In the case of the minor, he shall be proceeded against in accordance with the provision of Article 80. Number 3. That the offender had no intention to commit so grave wrong. Number 3. That the offender had no intention to commit so grave wrong. Number 4. The sufficient provocation or threat on the part of the offended party immediately preceded the act. That the act was committed in the immediate vindication of grave offense to the one committing the felony, his spouse, ascendants, descendants, or relatives by affinity within the same degrees. Number 6. That having acted upon impulse so powerful as naturally to have produced passion or obfuscation that the offender had voluntarily surrendered himself to person in authority. Number 8. That the offender is deaf, dumb, blind, or otherwise suffering from some physical defect. Number 9. Such illness of the offender as would diminish the exercises of the willpower of the offender without, however, depriving him of the consciousness of his acts. Number 10. And finally, any other circumstances of a similar nature and analogous to those above mentioned. So we should go to the last circumstances, which is the Article 14, the aggravating circumstances, or to serve an imposable penalty. Number 1. That advantage be taken by the offender of his public position. Number 2. That the crime be committed in contempt or with insult to public authorities. Number 3. That the act be committed with insult or disregard of the respect due to offended party on account of his rank, age, or sex, or that is be committed in the dwelling of the offended party if the latter has not given provocation. Number 4, that the act be committed with abuse of confidence or obvious ungratefulness. That abuse ungratefulness. 5, that the crime be committed in the palace of chief executive or in his presence or where public authorities are engaged in the discharge of their duties or in a place dedicated to religious worship. Number 6, that the crime be committed in the night time or an uninhabited place or by a band, whether such circumstances may facilitate the commission of the offense. Whenever more than three armed male fac male more than three male factors shall have acted together shall be deemed to have been committed by a band. Number 7, that the crime be committed on the occasion of conflagration, shipwreck, earthquake, epidemic, or other calamity, misfortune. Number 8, that the crime be committed with the aid of armed men or a person who ensure or afford impunity. Number 9, that the accused is a recidivist. Number 10, that the offender has been previously punished by offense to which the law attaches an equal or greater penalty, or for 2 or more crimes to which it attach a lighter penalty. Number 11, that the crime be committed in consider action or price, reward, or promise. Number 12, that the crime be committed by means of inundation, fire, poison, explosion, stranding of a vessel, or international damage there to derailment of a commodity or by the use of any other anticipating involving great waste and ruin. Number 13, that the act be committed with evidence premeditation. Number 14, that the craft, fraud, or disguise be employed. Number 15, that the advantage be taken of superior strength or means be employed to weaken defense. Number 16, that the act be committed with treachery. 17, that means be employed or circumstances brought about which add ignominy to the natural effects of the act. Number 18, that the crime be committed after an unlawful entry. Number 20, that the crime be committed with the aid of persons under 15 years old or by means of a motor vehicles, modified watercraft, airship, or other similar means. So, number 21, that the wrong done in the commission of the crime be deliberately augmented by causing other wrong not necessary for its commission.